Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines. We're very lucky to have on the show the Mayor-President, Kip Holden. The Mayor's going to talk to us about, frankly, all the issues we care about. That is bad traffic, bad roads. He's going to talk to us about the infrastructure needs of our parish and how he and the Metro Council are going to fix them. They're going to propose a $700 million bond issue that we're going to have to vote on shortly. So join us on the next Legal Lines with Mayor-President Kip Holden. Welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm very pleased to have on the show today the Mayor of Baton Rouge, the City of Baton Rouge, President of the Parish of East Baton Rouge, Kip Holden.
Hello.
Mayor, it's great to have you back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Can't believe how long it's been.
I know.
It's amazing. It seems like it might have been a couple of years after the bad hurricanes.
Yeah, but if you notice, my Rogaine does not work.
At least you got some. Mine's all gray and leaving me, so we're moving on.
Thanks.
Well, let's talk about, there was a recent survey that came out, and it's the same issues that everybody cares about. You know, the infrastructure, traffic, education, crime, just life in general. And it was saying a lot of the folks, over a majority of the folks, are willing to pay some additional monies to make sure we're dealing with those issues. Where are we?
Well, basically right now I have to try to put forth a bond issue before the council and get the council to understand that I'm in line with the people, but they need to get in line with the people. Simply said, we need to have their support in order to put a bond issue out. That bond issue will be everything that we put out the last two times. It will deal with drainage, it will deal with bridges, it will deal with transportation and infrastructure, it will deal with light synchronization, it will deal with a juvenile facility, a jail, a sheriff complex, city police complex, and all of those things will be combined in there to really get us to the next step.
Excellent.
The only thing I hope they do not do is begin to load the bond issue up with pet projects for each of their districts, because they would blow it out of proportion and it would be doomed for failure if people see that this is just a grab bag on behalf of politicians to try to get different things in their district.
Mayor, if that happens, does that take away funds that you've allocated to other projects? Because there's like a cap, we're going to spend no more than $700 million, and if they start trying to add something, then they're saying, well, we're going to take money away here, or does that raise that 700 cap?
It will raise the 700 cap, so then it could go up another 100 million.
Gotcha.
Or 200 million, you'll be back to a
So taxes are going up.
That's correct.
Okay.
In other words, right now we're looking at the possibility of maybe a 1-cent sales tax to cover the 700 million. But if they start adding more things in, then you got to look at both property taxes and sales taxes. And frankly, if they add a bunch of stuff in, I'm not going to push a bond issue on people knowing full well that we have to take care of 50 years of backlog on the infrastructure instead of pet projects that people want in their district.
Well, and the bottom line is, and we all know that we've been through some really tough times here in Louisiana, both economically, just because of the downturn in the whole nation, the BP spill, just all the trying times that we've had. Folks are hurting. I was amazed to see that they were willing to pay some more money to deal with these very, very serious issues.
Well, one of the things you have to realize about the public, they want accountability for their dollars. And I think if you look at my track record, they see the accountability. But again, it's what are you going to put in there? When we ran the last bond issue, we had the Live project.
Right. Explain to the folks the difference now that, as I understand what you've said, you've taken that away from that. Live's no longer part of that. So what does that mean?
That means that the project that everybody called the Disney World Park and Disneyland Park and all of that is gone.
Okay.
There's no way you can even put it back in. The one thing people need to understand about a bond issue is that once those projects are voted upon by the public, you cannot put any other project in there. That's a violation of the law. So mainly, again, we have some major drainage problems in Baton Rouge.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to go in and do something with a lot of canals. We're going to have to do something with a lot of ditches. We're going to have to do bank stabilization. All of those things are very important, because otherwise we're getting people who are coming in and say, oh, my backyard is eroding. And so we're trying to cut all of that off and begin to get some stabilization in regards to these canals.
So if you looked at the proposal that you submitted last time and now you've eliminated Alive, is it pretty much what you had submitted previously but eliminating Alive?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's all of the basic things, the necessities minus the Alive project, and we feel these things have to be done, and they have to be done right away.
And so the process requires now that you, I guess, submit it to the council.
Correct.
And then they have to approve to put it on the ballot for an election at some point in time?
Either in October or November.
I see. And so I guess, is there a certain time frame within which you submit it to the council so they can get it set for
yeah,
the elections?
Not only submit it to the council, but you have to go before the bond commission and a lot of other technical procedures in order to get this put on the ballot for election in the fall. Time is of the essence now. We need to really have this done no later than the end of May or by the first week of June.
And when you say go before the bond commission, we're talking about a state bond commission?
Yes.
Okay.
They pretty much have to give their blessings to what you're doing on the local level. They have to review it and kind of make sure that you're following all of the procedures mandated by law.
And really, as I understand the process, when we say bond, what we're really saying is we're going to borrow from some group of investors an amount of money, $700 million in this case, which we will agree as a city to pay out over a period of time.
That's correct.
What is the period of time?
Probably 25 years. And we've been really good. What a lot of people don't know is when you go out for a bond issue, you also have a credit rating assigned to you. Baton Rouge now has the highest credit rating it's had in the history of Baton Rouge.
Wow.
The highest you can have is a AAA. We have a AA plus, which means we save a lot of money on interest and we save the taxpayers a lot of money as compared to some things that have happened in the past.
And I presume now's the time to borrow money because at least with my ear to the grapevine, it sounds like inflation may start taking off at some point in the future. And so money at this point in time is cheap compared to where it's been in the past and where it very well may be in the future.
That's correct. People are now saying that because of rising gas prices, the economy may be tanked, so to speak, no pun intended. but when you look at that, we have to now understand it's a favorable time to go out and borrow money, get lower interest, better rates overall, and then we can get the job done to make sure that we take care of basic things.
Now, is there any chance that Metro Council may say, well, look, Mayor, we think this is a great idea. Maybe we can save some money here or save some money here, and you'd be willing to I guess, listen to that? Or is it because you've done this now, three times? You pretty much know what it's going to cost.
Pretty much, we know what it's going to cost. It's not.
And they previously approved the bond plus Alive. And
yeah, both times they have approved it, and now I just don't want them playing politics right now, because let me give you an example. When the bridge collapsed in Minnesota, that bridge was ranked at number 4. We have a number of bridges in Baton Rouge ranked 4 or below.
Wow.
Which means that that bridge could collapse at any time. And I'm trying to get them to understand it's not a time to play politics or play with the lives of people. We have to get these projects moving, get these bridges replaced so we can ensure the safety of our citizens.
And so am I detecting that there may be an issue with money allocated to fix bridges with the council?
One council member had already brought up the issue like every bridge in Baton Rouge was safe. Well, we all know that's not a fact. A lot of those bridges are still being held up by timber structures even. And so we have to go in now, and the state may declare that there are some other bridges that we need to take care of as well. The state can come in and we have 24 hours to shut down a bridge. And if we shut down a bridge like we've had to do,
we got even worse traffic problems.
Traffic is really worse.
All right, so the bottom line is submitting it here, I guess, very shortly.
Sure.
And time is of the essence.
That's correct.
We got to get it done.
That's correct.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment of Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, again with Kip Holden, the mayor. Mayor, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. Again, I'm Locke Meredith, and very pleased to have on the show the Mayor President, Kip Holden. Kip, again, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
We're talking about the $700 million bond issue you're getting ready to submit to the council. They've okayed it 2 times previously, and it had the Alive program, which has now been stripped off.
Sure.
And we're dealing strictly with funds allocated to infrastructure and the basic needs. That survey folks said, we want this taken care of. Let's dive into each of the segments. First, traffic is always a big deal to folks. How are the funds allocated as it relates to traffic concerns and issues?
One of the big issues we have right now is synchronizing red lights, and that keeps the traffic flowing in an orderly manner instead of driving from one red light, stopping at the next, and then stopping at the next.
Drives you nuts, you waste gas, $4 a gallon gas.
It frankly costs you more than what you'd be paying on the bond issue, really, if you look at it in terms of the number of times you have to make those stops. And so we're trying to make sure that you can get to work or home or to your child's play or ball game quicker.
Got to be done.
Got to be done. And so the other thing that it will do is for all of our emergency personnel, when they come to a red light, each vehicle will be equipped with an automatic button where they can change the light cycle to make sure
they
can
get on
to
through
the
there.
That's exactly right. So
Wow.
that would be added, and that's state of the art.
Anything
technology.
for cameras, security cameras, or anything like that?
No, and although people are saying we like more security cameras, we may take a look at that. That may be the one issue we may add. Because a lot more people, about 80-something%, said they'd love to have more security cameras in neighborhoods.
Now, any funds allocated for actual improvement to the roadways, resurfacing or widening or anything like that? And I know there are city roads and state roads, et cetera.
Well, we're relying right now on the Green Light program that we have, and that has done a tremendous job for
it really has. It seems like everywhere I go, they got some new road being
I know. So
redone.
one person said, I don't want to be mad at you, but I got to say, I'm tired of seeing all of these orange barrels and that, but she was just saying, but I'm ready for the improvement. And so that is coming along extensively. Matter of fact, our Green Light program now is going to be written up again by a national magazine,
really? Touting
it as one of the best practices in the nation. So we're going in and using an existing program to take care of the roads. But on the other hand, we may have to deal again with these bridges, which will be part of the roads in the sense that
Sure.
we have this infrastructure part that if it caves in, then that whole road is no good. You can't really use that road for, I'm talking about up to a certain point you can.
Sure, shuts
but
down
it
access.
Shuts down access, yeah.
All right, I understand that for sure. Let's talk about crime. That's obviously a big deal. You read that we're like almost the top, if not the top, in terms of murders and various other types of crimes. And I've actually had guests where we've talked about the number of folks that we have in prison. It's
That's
just
correct.
amazing. What are we doing about that issue?
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to build a new prison. You can't put everybody in prison, but right now there are people and some of these guys out there committing crimes who will read you the law. They know the law.
Oh, repeat offenders like crazy.
That's exactly right. And so we have to lock a number of these people up. And so we're talking about building a jail, and the jail that we have, the prison that we have is really antiquated. When deputies walk through a large portion of that prison, there are no surveillance cameras to make sure that deputy is safe and all of these things. So we're making sure that we have an up-to-date prison and that we can house more prisoners, and then we won't be in danger of really going back to the federal courts again, where the federal courts begin to run the prisons. That's going to be very critical. We're talking about a juvenile facility. Right now, some of the juveniles are housed in what we used to call the T building, but the outdoor modular building, they are housed in those. And so we have to do something about that, build a new facility there in order to take care of the juveniles.
Are we renovating the existing buildings, or are we building completely new buildings?
We would build a completely new building, model it after a system that was created in Kansas City, Missouri, whereby it's a dormitory-like structure holding maybe about 12 people in each dorm. But they also, they have to clean up their rooms, they have to paint, they have to do different things around the school. They go to school during the day, they have lunch, they go back to school.
And this is the
afternoon.
juvenile program.
This is the juvenile program. So we're taking more of let's educate instead of incarcerate, because you look at the fact that a lot of the juveniles graduate to a larger degree of crime if you don't have that mechanism in there.
And so we're doing, that's wonderful, because I can't, again, tell you how many guests I've had that have said the problem is they just keep coming back.
Correct.
And we're not doing anything to give them some other way of getting along and providing for themselves.
That's absolutely right. So, and then
any drug prevention or any of that type of stuff?
We're going to have to have a drug prevention component. You know, and I'll tell you, I've had a son, I have a son who's 38 that's been through a substance abuse program before. You just can't do a 28-day inpatient program and think that everything is going away. They recommended a halfway house after that. So we have to have substance abuse training in there, and we will have all of those components to make sure that that child gets the treatment he or she needs in terms of making them a better citizen once they get out. But the other part in Missouri, 1 year before that a person is released, they start working with the parents and also begin to try to find them a job. So once they're out, they can blend back into the family setting, but at the same time have a job that would at least cut down the recidivism rate.
And of course, we know a lot of these kids don't really have much of a family life. So is there an alternative to finding them a
well, and that's something that we're going to have to work on. You know, when you hear stories, Locke, like some of the guidance counselors, they'll tell you about how the mother goes out to work every day, and then the boyfriend comes into the house in the evening. He sleeps with the mom. After the mom goes to sleep, he goes into the daughter's room and sleeps with her.
Horrible.
And then when the daughter tries to tell the mom, look, something strange is going on here. You need to listen to me about this guy that you have staying with us. And then the mom accuses the kid of being a liar. Well, that kid is going to run away from home. Youth oases in these places are trying to take in as many kids as they can. We have to look at maybe a second tier as to how we can make sure these kids still have like a safe house where they're trained and keep them off the streets, or else they're going to fall right back in the same
Mayor,
predicament.
you're so right. What about additional monies to the law enforcement personnel?
Okay, law enforcement, again, we'll have a new complex for the sheriff and police, but the law enforcement monies will have to come, frankly, from existing revenues, which because of the downturn in the economy last year was bad. We hope to put together at least 1 or 2 academies this year. But most law enforcement professionals will tell you that just by having more people on the streets does not guarantee a reduction in crime. There are a lot of other components that you have to put in place. The community has to get involved quite a bit. I want the ministers and those, because a lot of these crimes are happening in North Baton Rouge, is to begin to dissect the community and work in strategic groups on various blocks and streets and those things, but become each other's eyes and ears. With Crime Stoppers right now, you can call in, but in the former mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida, and now the present mayor of Boston, they also allow you to text in information about crime, and they've seen the reduction as well. So you got to get out there and use the technology you have.
The eyes and ears. All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith, Legal Lines. Mayor President Kip Holden will be right back. Welcome back to Legal Lines. Again, I'm very pleased to have on the show today the Mayor President of Baton Rouge, Kip Holden. Again, Mayor, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We're talking about crime, and you and I have talked before, and you've indicated that 85% statistically of the crime is occurring in North Baton Rouge.
That's correct.
And even if we go and arrest every offender there, we have enough police officers to do that, they're going to go back, do the same thing, and so there has to be some other way to deal with this. What do we do?
Well, one thing we're going to have to do is we're talking about building a truancy center right now, because we can also track the high crime zip codes to the amount of people who are truants. So now myself...
So a direct correlation. If you're not going to school, you're going to be doing crime.
That's correct.
Statistically.
That's correct. And then the same correlation you find is that the number one thing people have in common that's in prison is they have not finished high school. And so now we're going to bring in this program here, working with the DA's office, a truancy center. We'll educate people, try to let them see what's what, give them information, and try to turn their lives around.
I actually had Hillary Moore in here talking about that.
And working with the school system as well to really make a difference and get people back to school.
Mayor, is there any shot or is there any way of getting state or federal money to help us with these expenses?
Well, state money, no. Federal dollars.
Yeah, we're 1.6 billion.
And with the federal dollars, we're already working on that now to try to make a difference in what we're seeing in regards to crime. Also with the federal dollars, we're working to see, can we get additional money to hire more officers as well. So we got several things that we're working with the federal government to help Baton Rouge.
Have they sent us money recently? I know things are tight.
They have not sent us money very much at all, and now the earmarks are out. The state, you've already mentioned their financial crisis.
Earmarks meaning that those particular legislators for each state can't say, I need money for that city, for that project. Can't do it now.
That's correct. And so now we're left, again, we're trying to figure out how do we put the pieces together to make sure we have law enforcement and all the other tools. Now, we bought the helicopter, that's made a difference. The crime cameras, they have made a difference. But at the same time, we need to research every other thing that's been successful in other cities and bring those measures to bear. And that's going to be one of the things that we'll stress in interviewing the new police chief, that you have to have these qualities, from community policing to strong administrator to having officers get out of their cars. I've stressed that a lot. If you're passing through a neighborhood, get out of a car. Give that person in the yard a card. Say, I'm Officer so-and-so, Sergeant so-and-so. We'll be working this area for the next 6 weeks or 2 months. If you have a problem, give me a call.
Create a relationship.
That's correct. And you have to create that relationship, or else you're still going to have the problem.
Now, what about Homeland Security? I guess we have funds that are designated for that?
Well, Homeland Security, you cannot use it for that particular purpose. We have to use that in terms of storms. And one thing people don't realize,
coming up to them,
we're coming up to them, and you have to pay that money out front to get reimbursed. And we've had a pretty good record. Our Homeland Security office in Jacksonville, Florida, are the only 2 Homeland Security offices in America ranked #1.
Wow.
And so we're watching all of that, but still you can get money for anti-terrorism. If you can find something to fit under that, that's well and good. We can make some things happen, but still we're going to have to put some more people on the streets, and then also begin to do more of the community policing, as it should be known, where we're getting in, talking to people, and then telling people, really, stop holding all of these press conferences. Press conference is not going to solve anything. Get out there and start working in the streets. Make sure you take enough pride in your community to take back your neighborhood. I'm not telling you to go out there and get involved in a fight or take a bullet. But if you know who's doing this stuff on the street, let us know. And then we can really act more proactively in terms of trying to deal with crime throughout Baton Rouge.
Well, I know the sheriff has said the exact same thing, and Chief LaDuff, when I had him on the show. They can't do it all. Folks in the neighborhood are their eyes and ears, and they got to let them know, or they can't solve the problem.
Well, it's really mandatory that we do not allow a few people to govern and dictate our quality of life. And right now, few people are doing that. I think we just need to stand up united as a community and say we've had enough, and now we're going to be able to take action to change things.
All right, it's going to be funded by, from what I think I heard you say, a 1 cent additional sales tax mandated for 20 years or whatever.
20, 25 years.
Okay, and that's going to pay that $700 million.
Correct.
For all the things that we've discussed.
Correct.
Excellent. All right. Let's shift gears.
Sure.
Tell the folks what's going on economically in Baton Rouge.
Well, we just had
downtown's amazing. You and I were talking before when we were young.
Yeah.
That's not really where you went. Now it's a hip place.
It's a great place, and you have mayors again that say basically your downtown dictates your economic development throughout the whole area. So we got the new town square that will be opening up next year. Then on back of that, we have the bowling congress coming in. That'll be roughly 70,000 people that will be in Baton Rouge for 6.5 months. That's going to generate $100 million into our economy.
That's fantastic.
And then you add to that, we just solidified an agreement with Electronic Arts and EA Sports. All of the games that you see, the Madden piece and NCAA football, Tiger Woods, all of those games are tested in Baton Rouge. So we got a lot of young people now, 400 young people working in Baton Rouge, and that'll go up to 600 people in 2 years that will be testing these games, and EA Sports will be bringing a lot of people in. So then we are on the verge of signing another digital media company. The music, the movie industry is skyrocketing. Oh,
it's unbelievable. I think we're now #2 to Hollywood.
That's correct.
That's on.
That's correct. And so we have a lot of different things coming in. You look for some other industry that will come in here. And so I can tell you that the future is bright for Baton Rouge. We're going to move the city forward, and people will be amazed with what we're going to do collectively in order to keep uplifting the city.
Mayor, what particular things would you like to see happen in the next, say, 5 years that you're just zeroed in on like a laser beam?
Well, a reduction in crime, #1. #2, getting rid of a lot of the congestion that we have on the streets. Number three, keeping people here by offering better jobs and bringing more jobs in. Number four, diversifying our economy where we also have a robust economy with international players coming in to do business and work out agreements with local business people as well. And number four is just the overall quality of life. Breck has done a great job. We're trying to do a great job, but people need places to go out and walk and feel safe, and parks play a major role in that. Bicycle paths play a major role in that. But overall, the quality of life issues will be paramount to us being America's next great city.
The staff that you have, I know you've had a couple of changes up here recently. Mike Futrell was called by the Navy, and he's serving in the military, and we got a lot of great folks serving overseas. Any other changes coming up?
We'll probably bring on a couple of other people because, you know, like in New Orleans has less people, but they have 7 people at the administrative level where the mayor is. We have right now 3. Wow. And so we have to improve that staff in order to, again, maintain quality service back to the constituents. And that's going to be real important, that we get those slots filled and probably ask for an additional slot in order to make sure that we can take care of business in a timely manner.
And I heard you mention earlier, but I remember reading 30 applicants had read for the, I guess, the police chief position or some type of test that they take, and 30 had done well on it, and you're about to, I guess, choose a police chief?
Right. Right now, by the end of May, we will have a new police chief, and that person is ready to hit the ground rolling.
Excellent. Mayor, thank you so much for being on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. Mayor President Kip Holden, thank you for being with us today.